Hey, what's up, VC? It's Steve again, Harmless Rebel. I wanted to do a quick video. This is kind of an initial review of the new Mastodon album, Once More Around the Sun. And I also was lucky enough to attend a listening slash release event last night for the record, and I'll kind of talk about that. And I actually got to meet the band, which was kind of cool. So, I mean, let's just jump into it. I don't want to make this a half-hour video, kind of keep this one short. Let's go ahead and just start off with the artwork. I know a lot of you guys have really been looking forward to this album, and it's well worth the wait. Let me start by saying that. But let's go ahead and take a look at the album. Like I said, I met the band last night, so it's kind of hard to see, but it is signed by all 4 members. And the artwork is just really cool. Yeah, you can see I'm not sure if it's a demon or what it is, but whatever it is, it's cool as hell. Here's the artwork on the back. The colors are just amazing. Let's back up a little bit so you can see the whole inner there. Let's do that now. So very, very cool artwork. And go ahead and show you the album as well. It's on black vinyl. The A side of each album is just the album, your track listing for both sides, and then on the back is the artwork as well. This is the inner artwork, which has the red eyes, and then the side 3 and 4 again on the A side has the track listings, and the B side has the artwork from the front cover, which is like a black and blue eyes there, if that's what those are. So the sound is, well, before I get to that, let me talk about this, because and this isn't the band's fault. Once again, as with every other new pressing that I've gotten as of late, there's some issues with it. You can't see it, so I'm not going to bring it up, but there's some real light surface scratching, and there's some spots on the edges where it looks like in the pressing process it was actually melted on the edges. I'm not sure what happened there, but it's like I said, I've said in past videos, I don't know what's going on with the presses, but the quality of vinyl that's been coming out has just been driving me nuts lately. I will say, in the defense of this one, it sounds amazing. I listened to it through the headphones. I've actually listened to it 3 times now. Once at the listening event, and I listened to it once last night when I got home, beginning to end, and I've listened to it once this afternoon from beginning to end. And there's not a spot of noise. I mean, it sounds amazing. There's no background noise. There's no static. There's no pops. That being said, there are some scratches on there. And again, whatever that burn mark is or whatever the heck it is, it drives me crazy, I mean, I have albums from the 50s and 60s that I've picked up at pawn shops and thrift stores and yard sales that have mold growing off of them, and they have no scratches on them. The vinyl is no noise, and the stuff I've been getting lately is very noisy, or there's surface damage, or there's always something with new albums lately, and it's something that's just starting to drive me crazy. So I'm done venting. The sound of the album. Now, let me start by saying I am not a long-term Mastodon fan. I know that they've been around since 2000, 2001. This is the first album of theirs that I've bought. Now, I will say, having listened to this, I will be buying probably the rest of their catalog, because it's a pretty amazing album. However, I am no expert on Mastodon. I have heard their songs over the years here and there, and I have just recently gotten more into progressive music as a whole. There's always been certain progressive metal bands and progressive rock bands that I've liked, but just over the last year or so, I've really gotten into progressive music, and progressive metal being one of them. Now, that being said, I wouldn't just call Mastodon a progressive metal band. I will say, from a drum aspect, they are definitely very progressive. He uses progressive drum beats, very off time signatures, very weird time, which is very cool. I love that as a former, or as a drummer. The guitar work is very sludgy, very sludge metal, which I also like. It's funny, as I was listening at the listening event last night, a couple of the songs made me reminisce and made me think of early Crowbar from the early to mid 90s, which is very cool. Because I love that old Crowbar sludge sound that they just don't have anymore, you know. And there's not a lot of bands that have that sound, and that mixed with the progressive drums and those time signatures was very, very cool. But then there was also a very I like it's got a real nice groove. Some of the songs almost move into that groove metal category. And this album is a very good mix of those three genres throughout. You know, the drums are progressive all the way through, the guitar's sludgy all the way through, but you still get that groove metal flow, which I really like. The one thing I didn't like up front, and this is something that grew on me prior to this, I actually got, I don't have it up here, I picked up the single a couple weeks ago. My record store had some singles they were giving away of the Mastodon. The first single, which had High Road and Chimes at Midnight. I think it's actually in my car right now. So I've gotten to live with those songs for a couple of weeks, and I've listened to them pretty extensively. Both great songs. I will say at first I didn't like the vocals from Mastodon. I'm not a big fan of vocal effects, and he uses effects on most of the songs, if not all the songs, at one point or another. I will say that the more I listened to it, the more I liked it, and now I really like the way his voice sounds and flows with the music. So it was a great choice to use the effects that they did use. And again, I don't know that I haven't listened to all of Mastodon's or their entire catalog, so he may have always used vocal effects, and you know, I don't know. So beginning to end, though, it's an amazing album. Lyrically, it's a good album. Musically, it's a great album. Definitely worth picking up. You know, if you haven't picked it up or pre-ordered it, I think it was officially released today. I would definitely put that on your short list of metal albums to get. And it's one that I would recommend to most people. That it's a very accessible album. You know, I've seen like Derek, for those of you that aren't familiar, Derek Higgins is also a member of the VC. And he's a fan of Mastodon, and hearing this beginning to end, I understand why he likes them. He's you know, if you watch his videos, he's really into progressive rock, progressive music as a whole, and it definitely, like I said, it has that progressive feel, and the fact that it does have that progressive feel and it's not overly heavy, I think is the reason that it's so accessible to so many people, and it is a very good album that can cross over no matter what kind of music you listen to. It's not too heavy, it's not too progressive, it's not too experimental, but at the same time, it is a heavy album. It is a progressive album. It is very sludgy, you know. So that's something I thought that was very cool. Now the event, as I mentioned last night, they called it the listening experience, and I'll show they gave a little bit of swag, but Criminal Records, which is one of the record stores here in Atlanta, got together with the band and the Fernbank Science Center. The Fernbank Science Center runs a museum and a planetarium in downtown Atlanta. The event was held at the planetarium. When I first heard this, that they were going to hold this event, I was very excited. I thought that was a very cool idea, to be sitting in a planetarium with the stars and the universe up, you know, all this stuff going on around you, and then this music playing in the background. I thought that was the coolest idea. Unfortunately, what the Fernbank Center put together wasn't as exciting. What they did was they showed the planets at first, and everybody got really excited. It looked cool. The music started. Everybody was pumped up. And then they started playing slides on the roof. Pictures of rockets and pictures of planets. So I thought that kind of sucked. And I don't think this is something that the band put together. You know, I'm pretty sure this is something that was worked out between either the label in the center or Criminal Records in the center. But, you know, I found that to be kind of disappointing. And then, you know, the album is, you know, 45 minutes, an hour in length. But the slideshow is only like 20 minutes. So we had to endure through these slides multiple times. I would rather have seen just the stars and the planets, which is what they initially showed us, and just stared at that and listened than to see these pictures that they were popping up. So I thought that was disappointing. Regardless, we got to listen to the music, which was kind of cool. Another issue that I had was, let's be honest, planetarium speakers are not made for heavy music. I don't think they tested the album on the speakers prior to playing it for the people that were there, because the whole right side or left side, depending on where you were sitting in the planetarium, the amps were clipping. Basically means the amps were overheating. So they would clip, they would go off for about 3 minutes and then come back on for about 5 minutes, then clip, go out for 3 or 4 minutes, then come back on. So that was very annoying. And then again, it's planetariums aren't made for this type of music. So there were no mids, the lows were real muddy, and the highs were kind of mixing together. So I couldn't wait to get home after you know, that particular listening experience and listening to it on a nice set of headphones through my stereo, you know. So I say worthy effort. It didn't really work out all that well. It was cool. They were giving away T-shirts for the band. I didn't end up getting one of those. They did some raffles and stuff. T-shirts. They gave away some silk screen prints of the artwork, which was also kind of cool. And then, of course, the band was there, and they did a signing. You know, one thing, you know, and I kind of understand it. They would only sign this album, so, you know, a lot of people tried to sneak in. You know, they brought old albums with them or previous albums with them and tried to have the band sign it, and then the managers and the people would stop them and you know, make them only sign. And the band seemed pretty willing to sign whatever, but management or the record label exec and the other guys that were there would stop people from doing that. So I thought that kind of sucked. They did only bring in 5 people at a time to see the band, which was kind of cool. So you got a little time to talk to the band. For those that were so inclined, they could take pictures with the band. I've never been one of those people. I'm not the guy that what's the word? Like when I meet famous people or when I meet celebrities, I'm not the kind of guy that has to take pictures. And you know, I spent a minute talking to the drummer about his progressions. I talked to the guitarist a little bit about that. I told him that I really liked his sound, and kind of talked about his setup for a minute while they were doing pictures with the other kids. But I don't want to say I find it amusing, because I kind of understand where the kids are coming from. But you know, like this guy, and I don't want to call him a kid. He is probably 32, 33 years old. He's the drummer, and he freaks out, you know, and starts talking about he plays drum because of Mastodon. The guy's in his mid-30s. Mastodon's only been out since 2000. So unless he started playing drums in his mid-20s, I doubt Mastodon is the reason he plays. Regardless, you know, you can see it in the band's face. You know, they're happy to see their fans. At the same time, the way some of these people react, they're just like, oh my God, not again, you know. So, again, it was a cool experience. Everybody that went got a little Mastodon lanyard. Let's see if you can see that. And on the back, it's just got the date and the event and all of that cool stuff. So everybody got one of those. Then they gave everybody a Mastodon patch, which seems to be pretty common lately. That seems to be one of the big giveaways, is patches. You know, for those of you that are my age or a little older, you'll remember how popular this was back in the 80s. I mean, I think we all, especially us metalheads, all had denim jackets with no sleeves that were completely covered in band, or if you had sleeves, they were just covered in band patches, you know. And then going back to the early 80s, it started with the punk and hardcore guys with their leather. But I still thought that was pretty cool, the little Mastodon patch. And again, the album. Once again, for all of you guys out there, it's a great album. I highly recommend you pick it up. It officially went on sale today, from what I understand. Some retailers had it out yesterday. If you don't have it yet, get it. It's a great album. Whether you like progressive rock, whether you like metal, whether you like sludge or drone, I think you're going to really like this album. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this VC. Tell me what you guys think. This is the first kind of, it's not a full review, but the first kind of review I've done. So give me your thoughts. Other than that, have a good one, VC, and take care. Talk to you soon.